Hello and welcome to the Starladder I-League Star Series Finals. We're live here from the Minsk Arena here in Belarus, and we've gathered 12 teams to this snowy city. We're going to have 5 days full of Dota, and at the end, one team will go home with a line share of $300,000. Now with me are two gentlemen who will accompany you on the journey to find out who that champion is. And directly on my right is the guy who was the offlaner of Mineski X. It is the Draft King prediction god, and also, of course, the Asian Merlini. Winter, welcome.
Thank you.
And next to him is the guy, you know him as a co-caster for various events, but what you might not know is that he also has been spending numerous hours of making various stats documents for a lot of tournaments, including the one that was the extensive one that got leaked at TI5. Scant, welcome.
Thank you. I tried to stay out of the document leaking business now, but yeah.
Good. Are you just as extensively prepared for this tournament?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's been plenty of preparation, and not least of which chatting to Winter on the flights.
Yeah, I heard that was quite the adventure.
Yeah, we had some fun. We had some detours. We stayed in Vilnius for a while, but we're here now.
Yeah, you got on the plane on your flip-flops.
Wasn't the best idea.
So Minsk Airport, you actually get out of the airplane into the snow.
The snow was like this thick. I'm walking on my flip-flops.
Not great.
No, I didn't expect the walk to be actually quite far from the plane to the bus.
I was not expecting to actually walk on snow right from getting out of the plane. Normally you go into like one of those slurps, you know?
It never goes according to plan.
It's true.
Yeah.
That is true. That is also true for a lot of Dota events. Now, we have actually got a very, very, very packed schedule. Let's take a look at what games we have. Well, let's take a look at the format first, because we have two groups of 6 teams. There are 12 teams here, so there's a lot of games to be played because the 2 groups of 6 teams will play round-robin best-of-ones. It's very important as well, as there are 6 teams going home after the group stages. 3 teams from each group will drop, and what do you feel is the most important thing for teams to note in this scenario?
It's new patch plus best of 1, so I think anyone has a good chance of getting through. Like I don't feel there's anyone that is like a team that's super underdog that they don't really have any chance. I think BO1, new patch, everyone can surprise. You get caught one game and you don't have any chance to recover. You can't fix the strategy after losing a BO1. So I think there'll be a lot of surprises.
And after the group stages, we are going to move forward with a single elimination best-of-3 bracket in the arena itself. We'll share the stage also with CSGO, but for the next 2 days, a lot of best-of-1s to be played, and that also means that we have 2 games going on at the same time, so we'll have 2 streams running. Now, if obviously you're watching on this stream, if you want to check out the other stream, first game of that stream will be Fnatic versus LGD by ODPixel and Luminous, and you can check that out on Dota Starladder_EN2. So make sure to check that out. So a lot of games today already. We have 9 best-of-1s. Can't. Anyone in particular, any match in particular that stands out for you?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm interested in seeing EG in particular. We haven't seen them play on the patch. We know that they're the team that's actually potentially the most prepared. They arrived earliest here. They've been boot camping for a few days. And yeah, you got to talk about the format, right? Best of 1, single elimination. EG is a team that we know to learn from defeats. And the format's not going to really allow for that here. So I'm very interested to see what they've done in this patch, what they're going to bring us. Yeah,
you say most prepared. They have been boot camping. Now, Team Spirit, the other side of the spectrum, has played actually a lot of matches. Obviously, they made it through the qualifiers of the Shanghai Major, and they played a lot of games on this patch. But they tweeted out they did not want to boot camp other side of the spectrum.
Yeah. They qualified for another event as well, like MDL.
Yes.
So they are the team that qualified. They qualified for the most events, and I saw the tweet as well that GoDz mentioned that he feels that boot camping might not be the best thing. I'm not sure if that was the 100% translation of what he said, but I think that different regions have different preferences. Like in China, they probably want the team to boot camp as much as possible, but there's going to be pros.
Actually, they like to play. For a long time, long ago, they used to play the super defensive PPD Venge to swap people out of danger. So they could do that. They could play it as like a more farmy support. They could play it as a carry, or they could go back to the 5 position.
Will they actually play it as a carry? That's actually a big question mark. Because it feels like it probably would not suit their carry players. Like either RTZ or Sumil on carry bench doesn't feel like their style. I'm not sure.
No, I do want to point out Sumil is here, though, even though there's only 4 people listed in the roster.
In the lobby.
So we're just
right
drafting
side.
so long. It's
No, he's in the lobby as well. It's just, his name is missing.
I see. Yeah, so I mean, I think Winter's a good point there, which is that Vengeful Spirit carry doesn't seem like a Sumail or Nazi hero, but at the same time, we were speaking previously before the stream started about how this is still a team that's recently adjusted to having Arteezy and Sumail together on a team, and I think they had to adjust some of the kinds of heroes their players played in order to work those two players together who are, historically, they were both very kind of one position, the main carry player. So it wouldn't surprise me that much if they tried to like test something new, get one of the two of them into the Vengeful Spirit role.
Yeah, but it's best of one though, so it can be really dangerous for them to do that if they are not prepared for that. And well, that's an early pick to counter the relocate. I think we see this a lot during TI4 era when EG are playing against Wiz, that they like to put Zai on the Enigma back then.
Yeah.
And he would just power farm, and in team fights he's just a counter towards the relocate.
Yeah, we've also seen how he play it, and I think if we look at this meta, we were talking a lot about how there's potential for a lot of like kind of semi-death ball pushing. Enigma is a nice hero in that it can be part of a push with the Eidolons, but it also kind of counters the push in the sense that you group up, you go for the base, and then you have to worry about Black Hole.
But do you think there's a chance that they might actually put Universe on the Enigma? Because I remember there were some games that when EG drafted Enigma, it was on offlane.
He has played it in the past as well.
Yeah, there's only two players, like Ice and Universe. Those are the two offlaners that actually played Enigma.
Yeah.
I would imagine that, I mean, they're going to keep that open until the very last. It doesn't look like Na'Vi is expecting it, though, as they do ban out the Brood Mother.
I think that I've seen ISSI's play it actually maybe in this patch, so I definitely think it's something that people might think about, and at very least I'll say that PPD will be considering during the draft that if we need to switch it to offlane, that's something we could do.
Yeah, because right now with the camp beside the offlane, so it makes Enigma a little bit stronger on the offlane because you can actually farm the side camps pretty effectively with your Midnight Pulse. You clear out the trees and it's easier for you to stack. So it might be an option for them. So Na'Vi are going to take out the Brood. Obviously, if you're running IO strats, you are going to have most likely 2-1-2 lanes. You don't want to go up against the Brood. And they take out the Beastmaster as well. Because
I have a question for you guys, because one thing I noticed that this patch is doing is it's making sure that every team has a mech builder, because if you want to start pushing early, you want to have that mech, or even if you're going to get pushed earlier. So far, I would say Enigma could be a mech builder, but Na'Vi, what's their plan? Are they going to run Spirit Breaker offlane? I mean, Darkseer is still in the pool as well, who I normally feel like that's a hero that we're going to see picked or banned fairly early on in the first 4 anyways.
Yeah, like certain teams like to open with the Darkseer because Darkseer is a hero. You go to the offlane, you don't really care about who you're facing up against. You usually are always able to get something out of the lane. So certain teams will tend to open with the hero. But right now, if you're talking about these two teams, it's quite likely for both teams to go for it. If you want to put Darkseer in your lineup, you can do Darkseer plus SB offlane, like dual offlane together.
Okay, yeah.
It could be quite effective. And for EG, I think for EG, if you pick the Darkseer because you want to have offlaner that needs 3 heroes to take care of, so your Enigma can, if you want to run a jungle Enigma, so your jungling Enigma can be very safe.
Reserve time.
Alright.
It might be what they're thinking right now, actually. If you pick the Darkseer right now, then you kind of give away that the Enigma's in the jungle.
Yeah, true.
And so PPD is maybe thinking, okay, well, even if we want it, we can't take it right away. Whereas Na'Vi, I definitely do see Na'Vi running Darkseer Spirit Breaker. They've done it before. I actually think Darkseer is probably Akmo's best offlane hero. So
don't you like his tiny?
I like his tiny. It's interesting, but I think Darkseer, I've seen him win games for the
it's
team.
More stable.
Yeah, exactly. It's more stable.
Tiny can be very risky at times.
But yeah, the dynamic of this draft, I don't know if you agree with me, but I feel like we're setting up for a pretty classic dynamic where Na'Vi's going to go for quite a lot of aggression with the Spirit Breaker, IO, the puck.
Yep.
And it's going to be a case of like, do EG handle the early aggression? And if they do, they'll probably be fine. And if they don't, they might be in a lot of trouble.
Basically, EG has more late game right now and the greedier lineup because they have a jungling Enigma. And Na'Vi has to be the team on the be the aggressive side because you want to punish the Enigma and try to make more plays. You're more pressured if you're Na'Vi with those heroes to make plays. And right now, EG goes for even more late game with the Ember. It's very strong versus IO because when you're relocating, he can just jump out. It's very easy for him to escape those ganks, even against the SB. So EG are just gearing up for a lot of late game, and let's see what Na'Vi does right now to actually try to punish this.
So 2 different styles, but which one do you prefer, especially on this patch?
I mean, if you ask me, I always prefer to have a style that you can actually just sit and wait. You don't really forced. You don't really feel forced to make moves because when those type of situation happens under a pressure situation, you're more likely to make a mistake because okay, guys, we have to make a move and blah blah blah. If you don't move now, we're gonna lose as the game goes on. So that's usually not a very good mentality, I feel, under a pressure situation.
Well, I like what EG are doing because if you look at EG's picks, they've got picks which, including the Omni Knight they've just picked up now, they have picks which, if they get an early lead, they could actually convert and push with the Vengeful Spirit, with the Enigma, even the Omni Knight's heal.
Team fight, very good team fight.
But it's not required of them, so that's why I think EG maybe discovered in their bootcamp before this tournament that we want a draft which, if we win a fight, we're going to get objectives, but we don't necessarily have to be the team forcing the fights.
We can take it slow. Yeah. So it's a really good way of dealing with playing against Na'Vi, especially because Na'Vi is gonna draft a very early game. They're gonna run at you, and so you just need to survive the early game, pick late game, and you're Gucci. But right now, I think the Omni Knight is mostly gonna be the off. I think the way EG runs the Omnis on Universe most of the time off lane, Enigma gonna be jungling, and most likely most of the situations you want to have 3 heroes against Omni, because I feel personally on offlaners, Omni in certain matchups, if you put 2 heroes, he can actually get a lot. So, and he's not an offlaner. It's very similar to a Baron. If you give him a lot in the lanes, he gets his levels, he groups up, and you basically feel, oh crap, we can't actually.
That's meant to be the difficult part of the game.
We can't win a team fight because Omni has so much levels, or a Baron has so much levels. So that is something that Na'Vi needs to pay attention to, make sure that the Omni Knight doesn't get too much.
Before we started, actually, Scant, you said you wanted to contest Winter as being the draft prediction king god.
Yeah.
This is your chance.
It's
very tricky.
You want me to guess the last pick?
I want you both to guess the last picks. Let's make it a contest.
I mean, I still felt like Na'Vi could very likely go for that Darkseer. I don't know if it changes things now there's the Omni Knights. I think maybe it makes it slightly weaker.
I think they'll pick support probably. Probably SB is their off lane, I think.
EG is expecting
maybe a Rubik plus Gyro. I'm not sure. Rubik, Gyro, and then with SB.
Yeah, Rubik's really nice there. So
5 seconds remaining.
Maybe I'm just going to keep the pressure and agree for Rubik. But let's say I'm not totally shocked if they bring out the Darkseer still.
Okay. And for EG? Or will that also depend on what Na'Vi picks now, or will they already have one in mind? Picking the Omni Knight kind of says, hey, we have something in mind.
Darkseer.
It's the Darkseer, guys.
Hey!
I should have stuck to my guns.
No, I still feel like you got that one. You just, you fall under pressure of thinking, oh my god, he's the drafting god.
We talked about this earlier, Darkseer plus SB could be a really good combination, early game to pressure, because we know that Na'Vi needs to put a lot of pressure early since EG has the much greedier lineup. So it's actually indeed going to be a core bench.
Yeah.
So that's not something we expect. But a core bench means that their tempo can be faster. So maybe they feel like, oh, okay, Na'Vi has too much early game right now. We can't really go too greedy. So we just go for a safe laner that is faster tempo so we don't actually crumble under the early game. Because we know we have Enigma and we have Omni Knight. As long as we survive the early game, we're going to be fine in the mid game when it comes to team fight.
So which draft do you prefer? That's the question. Or rather, let me rephrase that. What moment do we need to, as viewers, watch out for in this game? And which moment will you think will tilt the game to one side or the other?
For me, I think for Na'Vi, it's always going to be, when we talk about Gyro, his first rotation with the call down, how much can he accomplish with that? And obviously for EG, they don't really have to do anything. So the key point will be on the Omni Knight, whether he's there to counteract the call down rotation from the Gyro, or does he have enough levels at that point to actually help his team?
One thing that you're going to look out for this game?
I think the pressure could be even earlier than the Gyro rotation on Na'Vi. I think their Spirit Breaker Darkseer lane has to get value.
Yeah, true.
And if that lane fails somehow, they're in huge trouble. It's
kind of hard to feel that lane, right? Because Darkseer SB against, it's going to be Dazzle and Venge.
Yeah.
So there's a very good chance of them succeeding in the laning phase for those 2 heroes.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to find out if they're going to do that. And when those rotations come in from both the teams, we are going to go for a quick break from our sponsors. And when we're back, it is time for LD and GoDz with our first game of the day, Na'Vi versus EG.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I believe we're actually live and ready to go now. Na'Vi taking on EG, GoDz. This is an exciting match. Na'Vi have not looked like the Na'Vi of old, but they have been making some strides with the addition of Ditya Ra, and we've seen Axmo actually filling in pretty nicely for the team. Definitely still underdogs. How do you feel about the drafts? Well, I guess first point here, before we get into the draft analysis, is that Winter was wrong, and we're already grooming his replacement here in Scant, who is off to a hot start on day number 1.
It's a good thing we brought Scant along. I could already tell Winter was on the fall. He peaked at TI maybe with his draft predictions, but
Get your shit together, Winter.
Yeah.
You're on your home turf here in Minsk. It is really
Home
cold.
turf?
It's Winter's homeland.
Yeah.
This is
He struggles more in the cold
kingdom
than
of Winter.
anyone. He actually is the opposite of his name, but I don't know. Looking at the drafts, I think two kind of different approaches to how the new patch is going to be played. As far as looking kind of to play kind of stalling Dota on the east side of EG, play more towards the late game into kind of reactionary Dota, whereas Na'Vi are going to be the ones who are going to be dictating the pace of the game and deciding kind of where the action happens. So.
And definitely the team that needs to be. You look at their draft, they have mainly Puck as the hero that can actually catch out an Ember later on. And I would say one of the better heroes in the game to catch Ember, but it goes late. You're going to need that Hex. We might have a Lincoln Sphere. They have some good defensive supports like the Venge, so it's not an easy game to deal with an Ember later on.
Yeah. So I think they're going to hit this good mid-game kind of timing where they've got the right items to be able to handle the Ember, but if they don't punish him enough or if they don't win the game during that period and get far enough ahead, then they're going to be in some trouble. So
I like how Dendy's all smiles, and then I believe that's their manager or maybe their coach who just looks like he's going to kill somebody if they don't get their act together. But here we go, guys. Welcome. It is day 1 of StarLadder I-League Season 13. Here in Minsk, we're getting ready for the group stages, and we begin with EG taking on the underdogs in Na'Vi. But Na'Vi, come main event, should they make it there, will definitely have some big crowd support.
I mean, the analyst talked to me about the Darkseer Spirit Breaker lane getting something done, but it looks like it's actually going to be Darkseer in the safe lane, at least to start things off, with Na'Vi trying to contest the bottom lane, which is an interesting choice. Gyrocopter down here getting aggressive. It is a very strong dual lane for EG with the Venge as a core with the Dazzle, but then you've got the jungling here, which is kind of where Na'Vi decided, okay, you're going to run a greedy jungler, we're going to pressure lane. Something that used to happen quite a lot against Enigma drafts was just these aggro tri-lane versus dual lane setups. So.
And then you often see the kind of like, keep away game where Enigma goes to the Ancients or, sneaks into your jungle and just tries to avoid those early game confrontations. EG, 3 heroes camping out the top rune, so it is in fact going to be Universe on the Omni. As we were watching the draft here in the casting booth, is something you thought would definitely be the case, and is a very level-dependent hero, so that's where putting him in the offlane makes quite a bit of sense. That's another thing I think worth mentioning, is they don't really have a great solution for Repel this game either, so should it go late, killing that Ember will be very tough.
So Darkseer versus Omni Knight 1v1. Darkseer favored matchup, but I think an Omni at least will be happy because this is a hero who isn't picked at the moment, not because he's weak by any means. You look at what this hero can do around like the level 8, 9, 10 mark with just basic items he owns.
Oh, Sneeko sneaking in the roaming courier snipe
What a
on
way
the
to start
West. He knows
StarLadder.
that Salve is here. Hey, Donkey, how you doing? He
Radiant's
gets the
turret
job
has
done.
been
Nice
killed.
pick there by Sneeko to get game 1 underway. And well, with this build, that means he's not going to actually have the bottle gold for it, but he really wants that salve to deal with the harassment. So may need the support to camp out the lane a little bit.
And we
But
talked about
PPD
Na'Vi. The analysts talked about, okay, Na'Vi, Winter's like, they'll around first cooldown, they'll start getting aggressive. Scan's like, the Darkseer Spirit Breaker in lane. No, it's even earlier and with other
I love
heroes. Like the Courier Snipe, you've got a Spirit Breaker bullying the support Dazzle. Like, this is Na'Vi going all out aggression.
They warded off the jungle, and now they are charging onto Mr. PPD. Gets caught by the initial charge. Some harass here from Sneeko. Do they want to dive fully? Not ready to commit. But they are keeping the pressure on pretty much everywhere. And you see the Enigma, as they look to dive this bottom lane, has rotated up to the top side of the map. So he's not able to really assist the tri-lane. Fear will get his early levels, but just any second now, it feels like this bottom lane could erupt in a bloodbath.
I think if you look at the vulnerable lanes for Na'Vi, it's top. So something like an Enigma around level 4, you have 2 points in stun or 2 in the conversions, you can actually kill a Darkseer. So if you're EG and you're thinking, okay, this lane state's going to go bad, where can we pressure them? You're looking at that Darkseer and how he's vulnerable early on.
I love how they've done this, where they get the courier, and then normally your mid is going. Oh, Sneeko getting caught out very far up, but he's going to pop the Fairy Fire, survives for now. There's the charge forward. Can they bring down Mr. Merry Day? No, he is going to manage to back out, so Arteezy will survive for now, but they're going to continue harassing PPD, and they have a creep wave. Wonder if they're going to consider a secondary charge. Arteezy is salving up now. Should be okay. Over in the mid lane, Sumail out of regen, and he's still going to have a little bit of time before the bottle can arrive, but he's actually going in. He gets the chains off on Dendy, fully committing for this and burns him down. First blood to Sumail. You snipe my courier. Suck on that, Dendy.
That's
Great way to
so
start
good.
the lane.
He was going to start getting bullied out of the lane anyway, so he's just like, if I can get this kill, like I want to go back and heal up anyways. I have no courier to bring my bottle, so he dies. He spends his money, buys his bottle, and loses nothing from it. So
And now he gets the free fountain trip as well, so he can actually get his items.
Yep.
Beautiful stuff. Will respawn immediately, TP's in mid, and now Enigma has rotated back towards his own jungle. Looks like he has a camp available. as Universe and Axmo. Just going to be trading experience here. It is a win by a slight margin for the Darkseer, but the lane's pushy in, so could very easily equalize in terms of CS. And ultimately, if Omni is getting free levels, you're pretty happy with them.
Right now, it doesn't feel like the pressure from Na'Vi has fully kind of translated into a big early game win for them. The Courier Snipe was nice, giving a bit of a gold boost, but I think if not for that Courier Snipe, you'd be looking at EG and like, man, they're crushing the lanes right now.
And Dendi's not out CSing the Ember Spear mid either now. With the death, especially, he's fallen quite far behind. Looks like Ember and Puck continue to trade blows, but over in this bottom lane, a little bit of pressure. Charge, trying to find the angle. There is no stun opportunity, and now they get the rocket barrage going onto Arteezy, but he backs himself away. There's the bash when you need art style. Will he get the job done, though? The Grave comes out from PPD. That's enough to save him, and then they turn lane into Seneko as well as art style. This Dazzle going full aggro. Venge will survive. May actually have to go back. Let's see if he's able to be healed up, and again in the mid lane, the pressure comes in. Doesn't feel like Puck is really doing much here, but Artstyle looks to change it with the long-range charge. Chains may almost be cooled down by the time he arrives, and that could very easily be another feed towards Sumail, so they're going to, in the end, decide not to go for it.
He needs something to sustain him up, either go back to Fountain or just bring some regen. He's actually going to take the bottle. Looks like he's going to secure the bottom rune for his team, so nice little pick up for Outsell. And most importantly, he's level 2 right now. I feel like a lot of the aggression from Na'Vi early on from a level 1 Spirit Breaker just isn't that potent. The charge just doesn't do anywhere near enough.
And that's why when you heard Scat talking about it, then I think it's a very fair point. Generally, that's where you see the Darkseer and Spirit Breaker working together because he needs that extra damage from the Ion Shell.
Double rune for Outsell. He hastes his way top, returns the bottle to Dendi, and
now gallops back towards the bottom lane.
It's a nice little way to not have to go back to Fountain.
But it doesn't seem... not only are the lanes not going particularly well, but they're not shutting down the Enigma either, who's now back in his own jungle. Did deward the one observer towards mid. Artstar going to get caught out. The haste rune is worn off. He does charge away, bashing both on the escape. And although he makes it out, again, it's Navi's plays just minimizing casualties,
Radiant's
not
top
actually
tower is under
getting
attack.
kills.
And it's just so much downtime for his Spirit Breaker. He already spent the last minute, like from like 3:45 onwards, or like even before that, he was charged towards mid, then he like grabbed the bottle off the Courier, grabbed bottom rune, then went top rune, then came back mid, returned the bottle, then he went bottom. Like he's not really getting much done on the map right now.
Dendi being hunted in the trees here. Can he make it out? Seneco's arrived and wants to turn it, gets the bottle up, but Sherlock Holmes is very healthy, and Sumail's going to come in for this. Dendi with the phase shift and the silence. In the end, Sumail a bit too far. Used all the remnants on offense, didn't quite connect on the first few with the damage, and then had nothing to retreat. So a risky and aggressive play doesn't end up panning out.
Yeah, it's a kind of aggression that Sumail's known for, and those are the plays he loves to go for. So normally paying off there. If not for the, I mean, one, Dendi just managing to get away from the Fire Imps, and two, the Seneko TP in, it would have been fine. So there was like 2 things that went wrong for him. So all in all, it was a good kind of play to go for, but didn't work this time.
Although early on, big jump in again. Sumail just going full aggression. He has no remnants.
That's all right.
Yeah, I believe Dendi wanted to take the lane back over anyway, but Dendi's gonna get chased. Sumail just doesn't care. It's brought him down to half already. We talked about the Ember as a late game threat, but Sumail's decided that he's a 4-minute threat. And it appears to be paying off. Charge comes in position as PPD has that Grave available. The heal bomb turns it a little bit, and they want to go aggressive onto Dira. Artsao just praying for a bash, but not getting one. Still diving, still committing. Diyara goes in, manages to isolate PPD, sweeps by him, and gets the rocket barrage solely on that hero towards the tail end of it. Then Fear Rise looks for the black hole, but does not find Diyara. He's still caught too. The heal bomb is going to finish off the Spirit Breaker. Now Seneko in a lot of danger. Has the tether out, but is he going to have a target? Just barely get me out of here, Diyara! And it looks like make it popping the salve on the way out as Ember is going to rotate onto that bottom rune, but it doesn't look like he'll be able to get involved here in the end. Very back and forth exchanges.
Yeah, and EG were ready to try and contest the bottom lane finally with the black hole timing, but they've just lost a few heroes too early on. Like Na'Vi going aggressive, like EG's like, okay, just bait him in. Like I'm coming with the black hole, and then suddenly it's like, oh wait, we've kind of already died, and then the black hole came, and like Venge and Dazzle were just not in fighting conditions. So EG commit 4 heroes there and don't get the trade they were looking for, just finding 1 kill and losing a couple. So that's the first black hole. I don't think you look at it like, okay, black hole's on cooldown now. That's normally a spell you won't even see get used in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game. But most importantly, like Na'Vi just dealt with EG's kind of first timing very well.
Speaking of timings, looking for one in the mid lane. A dive forward, the Remnant is going to connect on Dendi. He barely pops the coil in time, but ends up going down. Now the Ios arrive. Seneko could be in danger here too. Repel deployed and chasing Onwards with auto attacks, surviving for now while in the top lane. PPD also caught out. Looks like they're going to dive him and finish him off with the Iron Shell damage. Then back to the bottom rune. At long last, Sherlock has been caught out. Needs that Watson, but didn't quite have him in the clutch. Rocket Barrage will complete the kill. Ends up being a 3-for-1 around the map, and Na'Vi just constantly rotating and getting those +1s as EG continue to dive towers and make it easy for the rotations to actually have an impact on the fights.
It's crazy. Like, in some way, I'm watching this thinking, like, man, that first kill Sumail got where he solo kills Dendi maybe just, like, gave him too much confidence, because that's twice in a row now where he's gone a bit too aggressive and it's worked against him there. He got the first kill on Dendi, but then he chases the Io, which ultimately leads to his demise as well as Universe's with Gyrocopter rotating in. They should have just been happy with the puck kill, but he wanted more, and chasing with the kind of HP and money he had just wasn't going to work out with just a single rotation. So.
And at that point, the Flame Guard had worn off. I believe might have been broken by Dundee's nukes or expired. So either way, it did not have the extra damage he was hoping for. Artstyle charging towards bottom here. So it looks like we maybe have a breather for a second, GoDz. Looking at the two lineups, so we haven't talked much about timing windows or kind of draft strategies beyond EG wants this to go late and Na'Vi want to keep the pressure up. What are you looking for from each of these teams?
I think for Na'Vi to get their kind of core first items up, the Puck Blink, the Darkseer mech, and just Gyrocopter more than anything, just some levels. He's level 7, has a drum, so the kind of SMY type build up, and then they are ridiculously strong. For EG, I think it's going to come down to entirely stalling out, playing more for a late game. They can try and team fight if they can like execute and get a really good black hole off, but in general it's going to be Na'Vi who are the kind of scarier lineup around that mid-game period.
So really just waiting on the blink is the big thing here.
Yeah, I think the Puck Blink gives them that kind of guaranteed ability to kill a hero like Ember Spirit if you can blink in and follow it up with some damage from a Spirit Breaker charge, whatever, or just some extra lockdown. So EG have to really play around that and have Universe on the Omni Knight in the right position to keep kind of his teammates alive, be it Artesia on the Venge, or more importantly this game, Sumail on the Ember.
If a blink is what they're waiting on, it might be a little while. Only about 600, 700 gold now up on the puck. So Dendi's got a ways to go.
Yeah.
Has been just honestly running for his life a lot from the Ember mid lane, and you know, even with the TPs, Sumail's net worth slightly lower, but it's come at the cost of a lot of support rotations. So we will see Dendi just farming up the mid lane. Now the top rune spawns, a bounty to be grabbed here by the Ember Spirit, and EG, as much as they've been hounded and constantly under pressure, they're getting their levels, they're getting their farm. The Jungle Enigma keeps them in the lead here in terms of experience, and now the mech timing comes out. 10 minutes in, immediate response from the Darkseer mech. So it is the double mech that Shiva was mentioning. She thinks mech is a big item in this patch.
You got mech, we want more too. So I think it matters more for Na'Vi having a mech right now, just because I mean they have the better team fight all around. Like they're going to be the ones getting aggressive with charges, Dream Coil, Gyrocopter cooldowns.
They also have the worst sustain as well. Just really the IO to keep the team in fighting shape.
I mean, EG, their mech is still very important because it's great against Gyrocopter cooldown because it is AoE spread damage, but they're going to be looking to use their mech, their heals more in like when they're on the defensive to save heroes, whereas Na'Vi's trying to use it to allow them to go
They
for
want
dive.
Dendi, they're going to make the jump here, swap into the black hole, great combo play! No chance of escape. Houdini has been thoroughly caged.
Nice move.
And they even tried for a relocate here. Seneko
Gyro's rotating in now.
tried to bring him out, but it just wasn't in time. Digyara arriving, the cooldown not very effective. Just barely clipping a couple of heroes, and immediately the heals come out. Suddenly EG are back in full fighting force. The counter mech from Exmo. Nobody dies. Everybody healthy. And Sumail just trading right clicks, but looks like he may want to re-engage. Universe is looking, commits the ultimate. EG perhaps a bit over-eager there. Let's see if they still want to go. They have popped the weave. With the black cooldown, the swap on cooldown, and the two other ults from the Omni and the Dazzle, it seems they may play it safe. On the other hand, Na'Vi, a little aggression.
5v5 mid, 12 minutes in, let's go. This is like overthrow or something right now. This is fantastic, LD.
I want more of this. Yeah. Please.
Not that many people died. I mean, that's the nature of the mechs, the Omni, and having an IO as well. But great kind of initiation from EG with the swap into Black Hole, making sure that Puck went down at all costs. And they just knew any follow-up fight, like fighting with Puck not in the picture, they could get aggressive. They have a repelled Ember Spirit, kind of reminiscent of like the old school Liquid duo with the Ember Darkseer, where you're just being super aggressive, except this is an Ember who doesn't die. He deals less damage, but having that kind of repel on him just means you can't really bring him down.
Nice work there by Na'Vi, just managing to get the tether slow off. His Artstyle snuck around Arteezy's rear, but he continues to back off another best. The Grave committed the charge through to cancel it. Artstyle going very aggressive, and the cooldown comes through. Will clip the Venge. finishes her off. PPD could well be next. He will be. Na'Vi just diving, and so too is Denji. Oh, the neutrals steal the kill on Sumail, but at least they get the kill there in the end. Fear even getting into the picture. Got the counter kill on the island. Now Artstyle could be caught on the way out. The heel bomb from Universe slams the door. So it ends up being a 3 for 2, but one of them was a neutral steal. Still, in the end, EG looks like they got the upper hand in that exchange. Oh, that fusion just right.
Seems they are
EG
looking
on the aggressive.
Yeah, it seems they are going to look for that gyrocopter BKB for the next fight, but as much as it keeps them alive, I'm not sure it's going to be a solution to EG.
Artstyle, the 3-hero charge out. Don't tell me
Poison
this
touch,
little
ticking.
fucker lives
Radiant's
again. He's
middle
going to
tower
stick up
is
and
under attack.
goes for the TP just late. Almost made it. Maybe could have kept the charge going a second or two longer
Yeah.
and then gone for the TP, but a tough one in the end. Still,
Radiant's
Spirit
top
Breaker
tower
tanking
is
the
under
3-hero
attack.
smoke gang. Not too bad.
Back in time to keep their Tier 1 mid tower alive. They've got like such constant map presence because of these Tier 1 towers still being up. It's where taking that top lane fight's so easy for them because it's right by a Tier 1 tower. So for Na'Vi, they actually need to take down and break these Tier 1 towers right now, which
But
is
it's not
becoming
a
an ongoing problem.
It's not a strength of their lineup. They don't have much push. You've got, I guess, the Helm of the Dominator and Ditya, but
Yeah.
you look at some of the bans this game, most of them were on pushing heroes, whether it's a Brood, a Lone Druid, Death
Pushing
Prophet.
gets even harder now because Sumail's Battle Fury is going to be up very, very soon.
Oh, there's the pipe too.
The
durability of EG
is under attack.
continues to increase.
Yep, and for as far as BKB Black Holes goes, there is a Nether Strike to cancel it, but not always entirely reliable, so this is this Enigma game is looking incredible as far as what Fear can do in a team fight now. If he wants the Guardian Greaves as well, the aura is really nice, and it's a way to get rid of the Puck Silence as well.
Yeah, not to mention he'll often be the repel target if the Ember doesn't need it.
Yeah.
See a little fish from Dendy, pokes his fairy head forward.
I mean, you see, look at Arteezy. He's like willing to die here. He doesn't care. Like, if Na'Vi want, they could jump burst him down before Omni Knight could theoretically save him. But they, at that point, you've just overcommitted for revenge.
This is a support venge practically at this point.
Yeah,
so.
he's playing like that frontliner. Like, if he dies, doesn't matter. Kind of role here.
All right, they want to keep him alive. They give him the repel.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, yeah, you don't want to be taking casualties, but very much they know if Na'Vi fully commit on him, it's a bad
They
fight.
are going to charge. They're committing into this massive defensive squad. The back comes out. Dendy looking for the opening. The coil only managed to find PPD. And then the black hole. Where's the cancel? Do they have anything? It doesn't look like an Artstyle will end up falling. The heals from EG. Too many methods to re-engage. Turn the fight. Seneko likely to be next, as there will be more cleanup by Sumail. 3 heroes wiped out. And just again and again, EG not even taking a scratch. Literally all 5 at full health. It doesn't matter how much damage they take. It's about how much they can quickly remove from their heroes.
Their sustain is too much. Na'Vi, there's no way they teamfight right now. It's got to resort to just full-on split push, kind of Rat Dota-oriented play, try and find pickoffs. They can't fight into EG's 5-man.
This could be bad. Is there any backup here? Charge comes out, continuing to dive with the double damage. It is going to wear off now, but they've got the whole squad marching on the high ground. Ditya, no such luck, will not have the saves available for him. The back comes out, but there's no real follow-up for it. No wall, no coil of any kind, just the call down. That's all they got, and it barely even tickles EG. Hardly hitting anyone aside from the Venge support. And they turn on Artstyle. Auto attacks get the job done.
PPD Grave TP's out as well. They're going to get the TP out on Venge as well. Everybody survives.
Literally a team of invincible heroes at this point. EG living a charmed life. Maybe Universe goes down. No, he has the repel too. And they got to slowly work him down with auto attacks. They do get the kill. At least the Omni Knight has fallen, but they want more. They know they've got to get some additional vengeance here. Charging, diving, the vac.
It's a big streak. If they can kill him.
The missile. It's
big
so far to dive. Everyone's back in fighting position here.
PPD's already healed up. He's back in position for a grave if they need it. So they get the tier 1, but realistically, that is just grim news for Na'Vi as far as that last fight or two went.
And they're already just marching back down mid. 3 heroes for EG. Starting to feel like they've actually turned on invincibility mode. And they can just continue pressuring towers.
Yeah.
The Eidolon's getting summoned now.
And Universe, as he was like right before he's dying, he's like, okay, I'll just spend my money. Started picking up the pieces for his Ag Scepter.
Hurrah! Needs a little help. The relocate is going to save him, but it doesn't really cost EG a thing.
They see the relocate location if EG want to commit to it, but
It's a little bit far to dive without the Omni.
Yeah.
Seems they are going to slow roll it. There's no pressure for EG, as you discussed. The late game seems to be in good shape. They'll just take it slow now. Wait for a better opportunity to fully engage once the Black Hole and the Omni Knight ult are up. And well, I guess the question becomes now, GoDz, where do Na'Vi go? They're down on kills. In terms of net worth, the Gyro doing well, but the rest of EG lapping him.
Yeah. And it's a Gyro with BKB drums, so he hasn't got the best... he's got a Helm that dominates, so he can at least spam Ancients. But I think EG have such good team fight, and they could theoretically just be pushing out lanes together and control those Ancients and not allow Gyrocopter just to be able to consistently pre-farm them. The Helm that dominated Gyro is scarier when the Gyro is like the team being the aggressors and when they're ahead. So in this situation, it's just not going to be quite as powerful.
Na'Vi do want to get a fight going while that Black Hole's on cooldown. It's a 3-hero smoke. Relocate not available yet, though, so they won't have the IO for a little bit longer. And they are going to show their puck in the top lane now. Their key initiator. Let's grab a Yule Scepter, but the level of items Na'Vi are acquiring here just doesn't seem to match what EG have. We'll have a pause. Diarra fixing the hotkeys.
Yeah, so a recent pickup on the Medallion for Wisp, which is a bit of an unusual, I'd say, Wisp item. Perhaps looking to try and make sure they can also get the next Roshan as well. I think for Na'Vi, that's one important way to kind of keep themselves in the game and be able to take a team fight against EG.
Especially when EG have so many big one-hit wonder ultimates. You live through the Black Hole, the Omni ult, maybe on round 2 you can turn the fight.
But realistically, like putting a Medallion on someone in your team doesn't, like EG have lots of good spread damage, and I don't think it necessarily helps a whole lot for your team fight.
Oh no, more for the Aegis.
Yeah.
We'll assist them a bit there.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
They're avoiding team fighting. Like they've got Gyrocopter bottom lane. That T2 tower may actually go down. It was very low earlier on. So for EG, they're kind of committing here, but they're not really the best at sieging the high ground.
They want to roll up the outer tower, so they push mid all the way in.
Yep.
And after they've shoved it there, they rotate on that top lane.
So it's like 2 tier 2s for the one at bottom, and it was a tier 2 bottom which was already very low on HP. And what's probably just going to happen, Na'Vi, they keep pressuring bottom lane a little bit more. Make sure EG TP back and they don't stay on your side of the map. You don't want to just let the bottom lane not go unpressured here.
Curious to see what EG look to do. Do they send someone home? It's not the fastest pushing here, the Gyro. They'll take the tier 2 and they are going to back.
They need to. Vengeful TP.
A little bit slow on the retreat though, and off the bat, Venge is almost got a solo down. Seneko swapped out, does get the relocate off. We're going to be coming right back and dying soon. Fear has been isolated in the top lane, though. Again, they've caught the old man, and this time he goes for it. The massive Black Hole in the entire enemy team. Almost enough damage, but it was close there from Sumail. Is he going to die for this as well? Perhaps he's underestimated Na'Vi's willingness to commit to this fight, and what was almost 4 heroes down ends up being a 2-for-1, and basically 2 cores for EG with how farm that Enigma is dropping.
I mean, EG will look back on that, like win or lose this game, and be like, yeah, that was probably one of the more questionable plays we've made.
If the Enigma had like 10 to 15% more HP, I think the Black Hole goes a little bit longer. Ember maybe auto attacks once or twice, and that's a totally different fight.
It was very close to working out for them, but unfortunately not quite. I mean, they had to TP back here as bottom lane. That was always going to be the play for EGs, like TP back 1 or 2 bottom. You want to try and catch the Wisp, and it looked like Seneko really overstayed bottom lane, letting himself get Venge stunned when he just TP'd like right in front of them. But I think it's Na'Vi baited with Seneko at bottom lane because they wanted to take the fight top. So like, okay, even when they TP him, we're going to make him like think they have a kill bottom lane and then just
and maybe even give them one, but in order to set up this big play in the top lane.
As a result, Black Hole on cooldown, that's always a... That's the other kind of issue with that big team fight, is that now Na'Vi have full access to Roshan, at least without the fear of a Black Hole.
And they deny EG yet another defensive item, so they'll be additionally happy about that. Let's see if EG do contest. They're charging towards the pit. Looks like they were scouted out as they smoked. They even get there in time. Not the case. Blinking down into the river, and they still want to go. They're going to lead here with the Ember. Finds the 2 hero chains off the bat, dropping Dendy quite low. Then Remnant's forward, turning his attention towards Seneko. Wants to keep that IO out of the fight, and not quite low enough to get a kill. So Dendy engages. There's the coil. The backup's there from the back wall, and they don't have the Black Hole to turn it around. Universe still with the ultimate, not using it just yet. Fear dropping low, but tanking for ages, and then the Omni Knight ult. They just can't get these kills. Art Style on the run, tried for the charge, but he's going to be interrupted by the chain. Seneko could go down next through the trees. He winds his way, but no escape for him. Diarra has a second life. May well need it as they swap Axmo back in, and Arteezy just continues to pummel him with raw auto attacks. 4 down. A just popped. Perhaps a secondary kill on the gyro coming next. No BKB, no escape. Who needs Black Hole? EG, all they need is the power of teamwork, and they get 4 and an 8.
That's like the full 5v5 team fight is so heavily EG favored, and I think just mostly because of the pipe plus Greaves that they have on this Enigma. And it's just insane that the Black Hole is not the important team fight. So if they land a Black Hole, you sure as hell bet they're going to win the fight in a 5v5 scenario. But for Na'Vi, just lacking damage here. You look at, like, they've got these big team fight ultimates, Dream Call, Vacuum, the Gyrocopter Cauldron, and they can use these really well together. We've seen a few times where they Dream Call a couple and vacuum them out to get the extra stun on them. But after that, there's no follow-up damage. They need single target burst damage to be able to kill heroes against the pipe and the Greaves, but that's just something Na'Vi don't have.
Single target is something that EG have in spades as Sumail goes really deep on Sneko. Won't finish him off. He's now going to turn his attention back towards the Pug Dendi. Oh, the orb was on cooldown, and EG again finding the picks. There is a buyback on the Pug. May have to use it. Even if he does, can they hold against the Death Ball? Didn't look like a Death Ball lineup, but the way they've itemized the advantage they've now accrued, it's starting to really feel that way. And by the way, Black Hole is ready, so you'd better be careful if you're Na'Vi. Fear, patiently holding it, probably waiting to counterplay when Na'Vi engage, and after the charge in, off with his head is the move by the Ember. Nice Grave, able to keep himself alive for now. RTZ is going to back off, and EG re-engaging. There's the defensive relocate, driving Digera back towards the tier 4s. They stun him, and they likely finish him. Down he goes as well. The mystery's been solved. EG's lineup is just a bit too strong in this 5-man type of engagement. Sherlock, he's figured out the case. But they are good looking for the counterplay now. Maybe they can get PPD on the way out. Black Hole was already committed, so they won't have that to try and reinitiate. Tiggerado being forced back, and Fierce just going to walk his way in onto Sneko. Isolates the IO. Down he goes to raw auto attacks, and they're all back to full HP aside from the Dazzler, who's managed to survive through it all. And Axmo could well be next. There's the charge, trying to keep Sumail back, but the bash from our style as he retreats towards the well. Na'Vi just running for their lives, pulling out every stop to minimize the feed, but there is no such luck. Another death. 4 down. EG bringing Death Ball back in a very unexpected way.
And that's pretty much that. That was the Omni Enigma kind of duo that gave him the Death Ball. I guess, I mean, I don't think you can take away too much like what Venge and Dazzle bring to the table. Venge is the auras and what this hero is in like kind of an early game core role. Dazzle, it's still a hero. Peter absolutely loved the hero in the old patch. Kept talking about how like this is the hero you just pick and you draft anything around it. So getting as a 5th pick for EG, I think, was something they were quite happy with, and they'd probably already kind of kept in mind, like, hey, this Omni Enigma Venge, like Death Ball is really strong. Let's just run the Venge as the core. You get a Dazzle in there as well, and there's no way Na'Vi can teamfight us. You've had not just the mech, the Greaves, you've got Dazzle, Shadow Wave, so it was just no way Na'Vi could actually kill off any one hero there.
So where do you attribute the loss to? Was this just the lanes not getting enough done, better execution by EG? Should they have set things up a bit differently?
I don't think they punished EG's laning stage greed. So EG had 2 very kind of weak points in their laning stage. The fact they've got a jungling Enigma and an Omni Knight. Omni Knight's really bad in the laning stage. It's kind of why he's not played so much. He doesn't offer anything to the team. And both those heroes got a lane they were happy with. Omni got a 1v1. He slightly loses the farm battle against a Darkseer, which is ultimately not a problem for Omni Knight because he's getting the levels he needs. And Enigma, completely uncontested in the jungle, which is, I think, something. This is like new 6
It's
point.
this patch.
Yeah.
Like they dropped 3 wards in his jungle, and he just went to the northern big camp and just kept on
I don't know how much like to question that or to point that out, because I feel like Enigma in this patch is going to get farm and find levels regardless.
So it's more about point A of punishing the other lanes then for you.
I think they needed to punish the other lanes. I think focusing everything to punish Avenge lanes. Like, okay, they've got Enigma jungle. Let's punish this weak safe lane they've got. But that was the least important lane for EG. The Ember mid, the Omni off lane were the 2 crucial lanes for them to have go well, which is, I think, something they just played it too. They just allowed EG to get away with too much.
Well, it is a best-of-1 format here, so EG getting their first point. Na'Vi will be dropping 1, and the team still have a couple of games to go, but EG off to a hot start. Na'Vi, who, because of the strength of this group, especially are looking like fairly heavy underdogs. This was one of the games they're expected to lose, so I don't know if they'll be too tilted by it, but they do need to start getting some wins on the board ASAP.
Yeah, it's just the start of the day, but I think most importantly for EG, a team who often has a slow start to a tournament, getting a win matters a lot for them. So Na'Vi, I don't think you can count them out, but EG, it's like they're winning at the start of the day, start of a tournament in BO1s that really matter. It's like, okay, this is an EG that's taking this tournament seriously and going to likely make a good playoff run.
Well, Na'Vi, they're not back just yet, guys, but we'll see if they can change that here. You're watching StarLadder iLeague Season 13. We're going to cut to a break, but when we return, we'll have more Dota action. As God said, day one has only just begun.
E-gaming.